Dungeons & Dragons has literally hundreds of books going back 50 years through multiple versions of rules, settings, and adventures. So how the heck are you supposed to know where to start as a new player, or even to keep track of all these official releases as an experienced player who just doesn't have the time? With this video, you made it! I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together, and now, for 5 years running, I've released this annual D&D Buyer's Guide, summarizing every product for the latest edition called 5e. But this year is a little different, because in 2024, D&D published a rules update calling all new stuff D&D 5e 2024, or as many fans call it, 5.5e. Many fans also call it a cash grab garbage, but one man's trash is another's favorite game. And for us, that means starting fresh with only a few new books to go over today. What? There's already 9 books and box sets for D&D 5e 2024 suited for different kinds of players and dungeon masters? We better get started! As I say every year, the first thing you want to buy when you're new to Dungeons & Dragons is nothing. And this is also how you know the video is not sponsored by D&D, though they did send me a few of these books for free. We got a different sponsor coming up later. But that's right, Dungeons & Dragons is a game of conversation and imagination and dice rolls, where you're expected to make things up as you go and tailor the rules to what your group finds fun. So besides a pencil, some paper, and maybe your own set of the standard 7 polyhedral dice, all you need to get started is the free online D&D basic rules. Through the link below, you can learn how to play, get all 12 iconic character classes, 9 character species like Elf, Dragonborn, Tiefling, way more spells than you'll ever need, a section of Dungeon Master advice with around 200 magic items to quest for, and over 300 fantastical monsters to fight. Honestly, the basic rules are way more than you need to get started, and some beginners might find those hundreds of pages intimidating. So I have 2 other free recommendations linked below. 1, my ultra beginner friendly D&D tutorial video, and 2, technically a different game, Shadowdark, but it uses 95% of the same rules and terminology, just expressed more simply and actually based on the original versions of D&D from about 50 years ago. The main difference is that these characters are not super duper powerful, but you can just give them some extra hit points. Remember, it's all D&D, baby. You can do anything you want. Likewise, if your heart is set on official D&D, but the basic rules still feel a little hard to grasp, you want to get those grubby little hands. Your hands are probably not grubby. I don't know why I said that. You want to get the all-new D&D starter set, Heroes of the Borderlands, with the red dragon on the cover. It's designed to be the entry point for official D&D, and it is, in my opinion, tied for the rank of greatest D&D 5e starter set. Here's why. It's got a read me first pamphlet concisely explaining the basics of D&D and what's in the box. Obligatory what's in the box clip.
What's in the box?
It gives you dice, it crams the complete basic rules into a 30-page booklet, and it has 3 tutorial adventure booklets for wilderness exploration, dungeon delving, and some cozy fetch quests. And it has tons of extra goodies like handouts, maps, tokens, and cards for magic items, monsters, spells, NPCs, and player character features that make it way easier than ever for folks of all ages to quickly generate their own original D&D characters and learn the game. There's even little plastic baggies so you can keep each player's stuff organized between sessions. But the coolest thing about the Heroes in the Borderlands D&D box set is that it's designed for players to take turns being the dungeon master from one adventure to the next. That's so important to me because the world needs more people playing RPGs, and for that we need more people to realize that being the dungeon master is fun, it's creative, and it's not that hard. However, this new jam-packed starter set costs as much as the D&D core rulebook, $50. That's twice as much as any of the previous starter sets. So if the budget is tight and you don't mind playing the D&D 2014 rules, which, by the way, is currently still the most popular version of D&D of all time, here's a quick rundown of those boxes. The D&D starter set with the blue dragon on the cover is the next best at teaching you how to play, but it offers the bare minimum goodies with pre-made characters, and the adventure is very short, so you'll soon need to move on to another module or make up your own. The D&D Essentials kit with the white dragon on the cover is a decent teaching tool, no pre-made characters, but it gives you a bunch of extra goodies. It has a great adventure, and I made a whole series of DM guides on how to run it because it's my personal favorite box set. The D&D starter set with the green dragon is probably the worst for teaching the game because it was designed not for brand new players, but for players familiar with even earlier versions of D&D, so it has the bare minimum goodies with pre-made characters, though it's also the cheapest and has a pretty iconic adventure. And if you decide to pick up any of these D&D products, you can simultaneously support this channel by using the affiliate links down in the description, from which I earn a small commission, and where you'll also find a link to a super helpful item for any tabletop game. This video's awesome sponsor, Tabletop Table. I know I'm talking up the goodies here, but when you have more stuff, you need more table. So Tabletop Table is a tiny table atop your table that makes room for your map and your cards and your dice and your character sheet, and most importantly, snacks. Just fold it open, pop on the stand, and you're done. This Hexalite model is durable but lightweight, and it comes with a travel bag with convenient pockets for game masters on the go. The Relic model has the same accessories and portability, but levels up the style with heirloom grade hardwood construction while still being more affordable than a traditional wooden gaming table that fills a whole room. But both work great on any surface, and you can get extenders or more add-ons to create even more table. So if you want a quality gaming space with more space that you can easily pack up between sessions, you want to check out Tabletop Table through my link below so they know who sent you. The next item on our list is for 3 kinds of people. 1. DMs and players with at least a little experience. 2. Anybody who loves the format of that new starter set. And or 3. Anybody who loves Stranger Things. This is Welcome to the Hellfire Club, aka the D&D Stranger Things box set, and it's arguably the coolest looking product you're going to see in this video. Everything from the artwork to the character sheets to the graphic design choices on the modules harkens back to the old school style of Dungeons & Dragons in the 80s as seen on Stranger Things, but it's not all about looks. This set also has extra goodies, just like Heroes of the Borderlands, including this totally sick DM screen. Check it out. Yes, long panning scroll for the DM screen, okay. But it's not a starter set. So while it's pretty good at teaching you the game, you get the pre-made character sheets instead of custom character cards, and fewer goodies overall. Now I know some viewers are losing their minds, waiting for me to answer the all-important question. But are the adventure modules actually fun though, Bob? And yeah, I didn't touch on that for the starter set either, because after 5 years of making this video, I've learned that whenever I share my experience with an adventure, or what I'd call the online consensus about an adventure, there are tons of people coming out in the comments who say they had the exact opposite experience. Because whether or not you find an adventure fun is related to the material, but almost entirely based on the unique player decisions and dice rolls that happen at your table. Again, that's why you don't really need to buy anything once you get the hang of D&D. And also, at the time of filming, these box sets are only 1 and 2 months old, so I struggled to even find detailed reviews from people who had actually played them already, and my own group has been playing Daggerheart for this time, but I'm still planning on running these and making a few more videos about the starter set, where I'll let you know how it goes. Okay. You've checked out the box sets, and you're truly ready to dive into D&D 5e 2024, so you gotta get the Player's Handbook. Or as most players call it, the PHB, and as cool players call it, the FUB. So, despite Dungeons & Dragons' confusing claim that there are 3 core rulebooks, each about 400 pages long, this is the core rulebook, whether you're primarily a player or dungeon master, because it has all the rules, tons of incredible art, tons of practical advice, tons of monsters, and of course, tons and tons of player character options. Too many combinations to ever realistically play. But in that regard, The FUB provides you with 2 games. The one you play with your friends and family, and the one you play by yourself, just creating epic superhero adventurer characters with vaguely medieval fantasy aesthetics. Though I must say, D&D 5e, by their own admission, has overemphasized the game of character creation. Actual quote from their own website, "Character creation can take forever." That's another reason I recommend trying games where it only takes a few minutes by default, leaving more time to play the game with your friends and family. It's also important to note a few differences between the character options presented in the player's handbook versus the free basic rules. Check out the details here on your screen, but essentially, yeah, the book gives you much more to play around with, except for monsters. Only 50 in the FUB, but 300 in the basic rules? Yeah, that's no typo. That's where the multiple core rulebooks idea comes in. If you want to get your clean little hands on all 500 of D&D's iconic monsters like owlbears and red dragons, gelatinous cubes and mind flayers and more, you gotta get the 2024 Monster Manual, aka the MM, or as everyone calls it, the Okay, now everyone just calls it the Monster Manual, but MM is faster, so it's going to catch on. Incredible artwork for every fantastical creature, though sadly a lot less lore from the previous version of the book, and no guidelines for creating your own original fantastical creatures. But I do love how they added a little flavorful description to each monster with tags for its habitat and treasure, and the new random tables for about every other monster are my favorite things in this book. The Green Hag trades its knowledge for the Cauldron of Arrival, or a vial of ruler's tears. The enraged Kraken calls down lightning on any ship that enters its territory. Like, I kinda just want a book of random tables all about monsters. If only a book like that existed, yeah. So the third and final core rulebook of D&D 2024 is the Dungeon Master's Guide, aka the DMG. And context matters here. The previous DMG set such a low bar for its organization that people generally found it useless besides as a compendium of D&D's magic items. By comparison, many people were wowed by the new DMG. Absolutely better organization, clearly speaking to new DMs, breaking down session prep and gameplay, highlighting the importance of fun and respect in a role-playing game, and including tons of advice for in-game situations, homebrewing your own D&D content, and yeah, providing more incredible artwork and an updated compendium of D&D's magic items. But wait, why no footage of the new DMG? Because I don't have it. This book ain't for me. The new DMG is for brand new DMs who want all this advice in one pretty package, and that's it. Because you can find all of this DM advice and more in countless free articles and videos online, and let's be real, you mostly learn how to be a better DM, not by reading, but by DMing, and that's a lot more fun. And if you're not a brand new DM who wants all this in one pretty package, I think the only reasons you'd really want this book are, 1, the tradition of owning all 3 core rulebooks, or 2, owning the most up-to-date compendium of D&D's magic items, which makes it barely better than the last version of this book. Alright, now we're really getting into the fun stuff. The expansions outside of the core materials, and we're going to speed it up a little just looking at D&D Beyond. Dragon Delves is the first adventure anthology for D&D 5e 2024. About 200 pages, 10 adventures, levels 1 to 12, with each one featuring a classic dragon type from D&D lore designed to fit in any campaign setting. Interestingly, each adventure is beautifully rendered in a different art style and showcases dragon art from throughout D&D history. But Bob, are they fun? Are they fun though? Are the adventures fun? Again, that's mostly up to you. However, some of these adventures only include citations for monsters, maps, and more from the 3 core rulebooks. So if you don't have those, you can just make up the missing pieces, but you shouldn't have missing pieces if you're buying an adventure. But only $5 per adventure is a pretty great deal, especially if you love dragons. Forgotten Realms Heroes of Faerun is a 200-page collection of setting lore and new player options listed here on the screen. And D&D players generally love these books for the new subclasses, so those are the College of the Moon Bard, Knowledge Domain Cleric, Banneret Fighter, Oath of the Noble Genie's Paladin, Winter Walker Ranger, Scion of the Three Rogue, Spellfire Sorcery Sorcerer, and Bladesinger Wizard, plus several chapters of lore about the Forgotten Realms campaign setting, covering the details of its regions, languages, gods, magic, factions, and of course, the Faerun calendar, because as we all know, you cannot have a meaningful campaign if strict time records are not kept. Little Gygax joke for you. And on the flip side, Forgotten Realms Adventures in Faerun is geared for game masters. About 300 pages, 50 plus adventures, 40 new monsters, a few magic items, and chapters of detailed gazetteers for the Dale Lands, Icewind Dale, Kalimshan, the Moonshae Isles, and Baldur's Gate. And that's all I got for these two, because the books have not been released yet at the time of filming, and I missed the boat for getting the early review copy of it, though I have heard through the grapevine of Dungeon Tubers that these 50 adventures use a very clean and clear 2-page spread layout, but at least some of the adventures require you to have the core rulebooks, just like Dragon Delves. Well, this is awkward. Yeah, so, okay, Editor Bob here. And like I said, I received the form to get review copies of these books only one day before that form was due, so I did not see it in time. And I got them anyway. They sent them anyway. Thank you very much. But for all intents and purposes, this video is done. I know Editor Bob Clip coming in here makes it seem like there might be time to review 500 pages of material and like have a meaningful thing to say about them in this video, but that's not the case. So you'll see more about these next year, I guess. And reaching slightly further into the future, Eberron, Forge of the Artificer, is a smaller expansion book, about 100 pages, coming in December 2025, with content for both players and DMs listed here on the screen, but the one piece most folks are excited for in this book is the Artificer class, often considered the 13th iconic character class of D&D, but different enough to keep it separate from the fantasy classes. And it would be weird to not mention my own D&D 5e 2024 book, designed with Evantier Games, which also has a version for Shadowdark RPG, Delve, How to Build and Survive Deadly Dungeons. And by the way, we chose that title way before the announcement of D&D's Dragon Delves. It's got 10 dungeons, 40 monsters, 40 magic items, 40 traps and hazards, new character ancestries with classes or subclasses depending on your version of the book, a whole dungeon building toolkit, and a section purely dedicated to the history and fun of dungeons in D&D. Everyone who backed our campaign should be getting their books in the mail literally any day now, and then it'll be on sale through Evantier's website, link below, or coming soon. But in the meantime, do check out our amazing sponsor, Tabletop Table, and thanks to all my patrons and YouTube channel members for their direct support. Keep building. What if I just started the video like this?